analysis and in understanding of psychosis. Now that is important, right? Because not all schools of psychoanalysis by then took into account or thought that there exists something like the death instinct. Winnicott certainly dismissed the idea of the death instinct, although in other respects he very much took in many of Klein's ideas, but not the idea of the death instinct. But the death instinct in conjunction with the life instinct, not the death instinct alone. It's always both.
That's very Freudian though, isn't it?
Very, well, it's one of the Freuds. That's the late Freud, yes. Absolutely.
Wasn't there a remark somewhere in the reading about, I think it was a reference to Klein, who became more Freudian than Freud?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Now, what else did Bion pick up from Klein and Freud? 3 elements, it's in the book.
The splitting.
Mm-hmm.
Concept of splitting.
Yes, right.
Subjective identification.
Well, before that, here, Vladimir remarks on 3 main issues first. I mean, what you're saying is the essence of psychosis. I'm just, first.
It's on page 114.
It's on, that is correct, 114, right. Bion used 3 fundamental triangle concepts, and he reminds us. One is the early Oedipal complex. Now, that's important, isn't it? And that's not that Freudian, although, as Tamara said, really Klein wanted to be more Freudian than Freud, right? Melanie Klein said, not only do I believe in the Oedipal complex or the Oedipal conflict at age, let's say, 2 or 3, I believe it's there right from the start, right? She must have hoped that Freud would applaud her, but of course she was not Freud's daughter, and Freud was thinking otherwise, and Freud had his heart with his daughter, not with Klein, right? The more because Klein started to have some very original ideas, right? So the early Oedipal complex, and the early Oedipal complex was, as Klein postulated, a psychotic Oedipal complex. A psychotic in the sense that it was almost unrealistic, right? The fantasies that babies had, or little children, that the mothers contained parts of the body of the father, like the penis, for instance, or that they contain feces and babies, unrelated to the father. It's not that the father with his genitals would create babies to the mother, but that the babies were there all the time before the father did anything, alongside, right, living together, let's say, with the feces and with father's penis, and perhaps more than one penis, perhaps a collection of penises inside mother, right, and that the inside of the mother was in itself an object, not the mother as a whole with an inside, but the inside of the mother being the object, being a place where lots of things happened.
Wow.
That's Freud's, that's Klein's early Oedipus complex.
Well, it's like it's like the mother's body is the center of the universe. It holds everything. Yes. It is the container that holds all of reality, basically, from the baby's perspective.
Correct.
Good stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Right? Now, it's Oedipal complex, early Oedipal complex, because it has a combination of a part of the body of the mother, right, the mother's inside, the mother's tummy, and a part of the father's body, the penis. But at that early stage, the baby doesn't know that there is a whole father and the penis is a part. The penis is the object for the baby, is an object in its own right. It's not a part of the father. Seen from the outside, it's a part of the father, and later the baby will know that the penis he thought that was inhabiting mother's inside is in reality a part of the body of the father, and that it doesn't dwell inside mommy, that it goes in and out, right? But the baby doesn't know at first, according to time.
Since these are fantasies, I mean, all these things continue to live on in us, don't they?
They do.
Even as adults?
Absolutely. And they do come out in individual analysis in the forms of dreams, symptoms, fantasies, etc.
So
Right.
does the concept of the part object then originate or lead from the partial parts, the bits of each individual parent, or is it part, or is it because each parent is seen as separate and not combined?
Not to the latter, because the minute the baby has the fantasy that the mother is inhabited with penises, it is already combined.
Even though the penis is the part object and not the body, not the being of, it's not the linking of the couple, that's later.
Well, it is already linked, that's the combination. In the Oedipal situation, in Freud's description of the Oedipal situation, there is a fantasy of a primal scene, that is the fantasy that the baby, or not the baby, because this happens between age 2 and 3, right, in the 3rd year of life, Freud says, has a fantasy of intercourse between father and mother, but as whole objects. It's not the penis inhabiting mother's inside, it's father and mother in intercourse, right? It's a fantasy in the sense that it's not totally realistic. For instance, the baby may, or not the baby again, the child, classical Oedipal complex, may have the idea that father and mother live in intercourse every time one or the other of the couple is not with the baby. That what happens is they close the door and they are in intercourse until the next day, right? In the earlier Oedipal complex, it's between parts objects. It's the penis that lives inside mother all the time. It's not an attribute of the father, it's the penis in its own right. Later the baby will know about the father as a whole object, but initially, according to Klein, the baby doesn't have that conception yet. It needs to mature. Many things need to happen until it gets there. Same with the breast. The baby doesn't know at first that the breast belongs to a lady that happens to be the mother. The mother that the baby knows is the breast, and the breast is the mother. The part object is the object. We call it a part object because we're looking at it from the other end of the development, but the baby that is there doesn't know that the part object is a part object. The baby takes the part as the whole. The breast is all that the baby gets to know of the mother.
It's the preconception of the mother.
It's
breast.
the precursor, not the preconception, it's the precursor. Right? It will develop into, through development from the paranoid schizoid position into the repressive position, the baby will at some point, little by little, have the realization that, wait a minute, every time the breast comes, I also hear a voice and a smell, and I see some hands, and I see a face. Might they not be all linked, right? Well, it will take some time, and at a certain point the baby will realize that all these objects are part of just one object called mother. Right? It will take time. In any case, this was to say that Bion took the idea of the early Oedipus complex, the instinctual duality, and which is the third element that he took according to Blantoneux,
the connection between the epistemophilia
Yes.
and sadism. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yes.
Which I do not understand.
You do not understand? No problem. Let's see what the group can help with.
The conflict between the drive to know and the hatred of receiving information from outside of one's mind and wanting, or just the hatred of awareness, which gets attacked sadistically. So it's kind of like a duality of instincts, but it's about knowledge, sort of conflict.
Yes.
Yeah.
Generates the hate. I'm not sure. That part kind of evades me how that's connected to somehow not knowing.
It confronts the narcissistic, I think. Or,
So it's like a narcissistic wounding or something.
yeah, a narcissistic
Not
wounding.
knowing.
Not,
Well, a couple of things. I think you're on the right track, aren't you? You were suspecting that part of what generates the sadism in the wish to know is that the baby can really not know. The first thing that, according to Klein, the baby has curiosity or wish to know about is about the mother's inside, where the baby fantasizes there are penises, babies, and feces. And the baby would like to get inside that world, to get a first-hand experience. Part of the sadism is that you can't get in. The baby can't get in. The baby may have a wish.
Can't get back in.
Yeah, I can't get back
Can't
in.
get back in.
Can't get back in, right. Can't get back in, right? Yes. So part of the sadism is about wanting to get in by hook or by crook.
So the good stuff's in there and I can't get in and she won't let me in. And I'm
Exactly. I'm being excluded. I'm pissed. And I win. I will prove that I win. Of course, it never happens in reality, but the baby may have pretty sadistic fantasies, right? About I win. How does she dare not open her inside up to me? I will get in there, right? The other source is what Odette was saying. That is, again, we're having some
It's gotten worse.
Yes, go ahead.
No, I just couldn't hear.
Yes, I was saying that one of the sources of the sadism was, as Mark was suspecting, the feeling of exclusion and wanting to get into the mother's inside by hook or by crook. The other source of sadism is what Odette was saying, that is that what you can get to know may not always be pleasant. Moreover, it may be damn unpleasant. Right? For instance, the fact that the baby will have to know that the breast is not a part of his mouth or his tongue,
Right.
may lead to a very unpleasant awareness and may cause so much hate to have known that it may attack its ability to know or its impulse to know, turning it into not know. Bion later will call that minus K. K, knowledge, the impulse to knowledge, minus K, its opposite, the impulse to ignore, to not know.
So I like the breast, but because I don't have control of it, I don't want it. I don't want to know anything about it.
I don't want to know, exactly. I don't even want to know.
But it wasn't one of Klein's concepts, maybe this is related to it or delivered in a different way, but the envy, isn't that where the first aspect of envy arises?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
does that